Welcome to Talk Back Georgia. The Jewel, your host. I want to thank everybody that has been listening to us and everyone that is listening today. It has been an exciting week, and we want to share this exciting week with you. Our discussion this week is going to be a roundtable discussion with citizens. I want you to be very keened in, clued in, or whatever you want to call it, to the subject matter. And if there's anything that you would like for us to talk about or to explain after you've had time to listen to the show, then I'd like for you to go to the website and jot down some things that you would like for us to talk about and send it to us. I want you to remember that this is the People Show. This is an opportunity for you to be able to come on and talk about almost anything that you want to talk about, because this show belongs to you. So I don't want you to go anywhere. We're going to take a little break, but I promise you we will be back. Welcome to Talk Back Georgia. Your host, The Jewel. As we said before, we were going to be having a citizen roundtable discussion. And I am excited to share this with you. I am overly excited to share it with you because, number one of our citizens has been with us before, and his name is Rashad Snelling. Can you give us a little synopsis about you?
Sure. Thank you for having me back. The last time I was here, we discussed economic development, and I'm here today to talk about things that's been happening in our city, mainly the elephant in the room, sanitation. I also want to talk about the spending that's happening at our city council meetings, mainly the spending that's happening on the consent agenda and just things that residents need to know about that's happening in our city with our tax dollars. And so I'm excited to be here, and thank you for having me back.
Very good. I can hardly wait to get this started, but before we start, I want to introduce our next citizen, who is Ms. Shawanda Clark. Ms. Clark, would you please tell us a little bit about you?
Thank you, Ms. Joel. Thank you for having me here with you today. I'm so excited, a little nervous, but I'm excited. I'm happy to talk about the things that are going on in the city of South Fulton. I've been a resident here since 2009, and it's some serious complications that we have going on, and we need to talk about it.
Well, thank you so much. I want to let you know I'm very happy that you are here with us. At this point, what I'd like for us to do is to just talk about these things that we just mentioned. So I think it would really be good, Mr. Snelling, if you can kind of like start us off, and the two of us will dive in right where you want to start.
All right, thank you so much. So, about a little over a year ago, we had a community meeting. It was a virtual meeting, and you'll recall that meeting because you were on the meeting where the city was trying to roll out to us about this idea that they had for sanitation. There was an overwhelming response from the community. The community did not want it. We pushed back on it. They told us about these surveys, and I remember your wisdom on that call telling people about what they were going to do with these surveys. So when we received the survey, the most important question was missing from the survey. Do you want this? That was never on the survey. For something like this, if you're rolling this out, that is a fundamental question that you should be asking. Do you want us to take over your sanitation? And had they asked that question, I'm sure you know what the answer would be. The answer probably will be no.
You're 100% right. I did elaborate to everyone on that meeting that the surveys was going to be used against you because the surveys was very biased, and it did not ask you if you really wanted it. So what they did was take the surveys and use them against you, saying that was what you really wanted. But I would like to ask Ms. Clark here, her experience and knowledge about that meeting.
Well, I didn't attend the virtual meeting, but I have been at every meeting since. One of the things when you're talking about the survey, everybody was not a part of that survey. And when it has been asked about how many people actually filled out that survey, there has not been an answer. So to me, the first question, like Rashad said, do you want it? If it was not there, the survey was none and void.
And could I interject something here?
Go right ahead.
All right, so there was an open records request done on that survey, and it was roughly somewhere around 700 people that they say completed the survey. And there's like, what, 45,000 households in the city of South Fulton that's going to be receiving this trash service. So 700, let's just give them the benefit of the doubt and say it was 700 people, right? So 700 people out of 45,000 households, that's not, no, that's not good enough. Did you get a survey?
No, I didn't get a survey, and you're absolutely correct. That was not good enough. 700 out of 45,000 households.
Yeah.
There should at least been 50% of that.
Now, if you also think about those numbers, is 700 people, but you have what, 108,000 people in the city of South Fulton?
Correct.
That's what, less than
half a point.
Yeah, half a point. So yeah, so that's not a good representation for them to tell us, we're going to give this to you because we received an overwhelming response for people that wanted it. They're making the assumption that if you filled out the survey that you wanted it.
You're absolutely right about that survey. And I was on several of the Zoom meetings and made it very clear to everyone that we should not fill it out because of the bias of the survey. And a lot of people did not get it because in order to get it, you had to be getting one of the council people's newsletters, and that was the only way you could get the survey. So really, it was not put together very well, and I think that was done deliberately.
Well, if you don't get the council newsletter, you did have the option to go on the website and search through all the links and search through all the pages and try to figure out where it was at and find it.
Now, Rashad. Rashad. Come on now. Let's talk about it. No, Rashad. No. I have over 25 years of dealing with the seniors. And seniors are not, half of them don't own computers.
Right.
Some of them don't even know how to dialogue through a computer. So how are we going to ask our seniors of this community to go and search through all this and not find it? Because it's very confusing on that website if they don't deliberately have it right there in your face.
Well, Shawanda, you know what bothers me so much about this? Last year, at the beginning of the year, we received a mailer in the mail about our former mayor's accomplishments, that they spent $14,000 to mail out to all the residents, but yet they couldn't mail this out to all the residents. So that stuff like that, it kind of bothered me. So. And
to me, just by you just stating that, right? Why didn't they send one to every mailbox in the city of South Fulton, like you sending out every trash can to the city of South Fulton?
If we could get the Bill Edwards flyers, then we can get these surveys.
Absolutely.
If we can get the flyers from my council person who sent these list of accomplishments out to everybody, then we could get the survey. Right. That's just how I feel about it. Ms. Jewell, what do you think about that?
Well, I happen to feel that everybody should have received those surveys, because if they had an opportunity, the ones that really know and understand, when you read the survey, you would definitely know that it is very biased. And it leads you to say that, hey, that's what you want. But I don't want us to get off track, but what I want you to know, we're going to take a break, but I want you to know we're going to come back and pick this up and keep moving with it. So at this particular time, let's just take a break. All right, audience, we'll be right back, and I promise you that we will continue with this discussion. Welcome to Talk Back Georgia. the People Show, your host, The Jewel. As we just finished with our break, we were going to let Mr. Snell in here talk to us about what we were talking about, the surveys. And Mr. Snell, and after you finish with that, could you please tell us a little bit more about the tax assessor and how he's going to be collecting?
All right, so with those surveys, like I said before, they were biased, they were misleading. It wasn't a good representation of the mass majority of people in the city. So that's all I got to say about the surveys. So yeah.
Well, can you talk to us about the tax assessor collecting?
Yeah, so I read the contract. I read the contract in its entirety, and I saw where the tax commissioner was receiving a 1% of what he collects in terms of this sanitation. I was also reading an article from the AJC. Now, this article is a little dated. It was back in 2019, I believe. But they said that the tax assessor makes more money than the president of the United States, and he also makes over 3 times what the governor for the state of Georgia makes, and he's the one that's going to be collecting our taxes. Now, there are people that believes that he's going to sell the liens, and I don't know what he's going to do with the liens, but I have no reason to believe that he will not sell those liens.
Now, you talk about him, but we are a city.
Right.
And we're organizing our city. So why can't we have our own tax commissioner's office?
So if you take that 1% times 45,000 households times $235 a year, that roughly comes out to almost $100,000. Now, with that $100,000, that could be somebody. That could be a couple people's job.
Absolutely.
Well, 2 people's job to collect that and manage that program. At the last council meeting, they spoke about an internship program.
Right.
That money could have been used to fund the internship program to teach them about the generally accepted accounting principles, or even collection of municipal invoices of
the
things
government
of that nature. I think that would be a great idea, but they chose to give it to someone who doesn't really need the money, and that people are fearful of. Some people are fearful of the tax collector being this involved.
Well, I truly feel that they should be fearful, for the mere fact that I remember when the tax commissioner came in, and he came in under Fulton County, and there was a lot of people in Atlanta that was losing their property because, and a lot of them were seniors, because they were uncomfortable with the way things were, and they did not know and understand, and a lot of them was forgetting to pay their taxes. The tax commissioner has a 99% collection rate, and he has that because he don't wait and either send anything out to let you know that you have forgotten to pay your taxes. Sometimes, and it all depends on what he thinks is a good one to deal with. He will wait maybe one day. You got one day. If you're one day late, he go ahead and sell it right then. And a lot of that is what caused the gentrification in Atlanta. A lot of people lost their properties in Atlanta under that. And I remember when Commissioner Darnell was the commissioner, she put in something that helped the seniors where he could not continue that process, but so many people had lost before it had became law for him to stop doing that. And I have had an experience with him as well. Living where I've lived for almost 40 years, at one time we were paying ours with the cashier's check, and we didn't have the
stub.
We had the stub, but what I'm saying is we didn't have it set up under the system where it would automatically be paid to the county. So we kept getting these letters where they were saying that we were in fault. I think we got about 3 letters, and that's what got my attention. And talking to my spouse, we decided, oh, something's wrong here. And he went and pulled a copy of the certified check where we had actually paid for all our taxes. So we go to the tax office, and the lady went to looking and everything, and she came back and said, well, you all need to go to see the tax commissioner. So when we went to see the tax commissioner, he told us he had already decided that they was going on the step. My house was going on the step for $300. To make a long story short, we were able to get them to change that when they saw that we had paid, and the bank even showed where the money actually went to the county. And that's how we were able to save our property. And we've had a few things to go on since then. But to let you know, he says, and he put in writing that he will let you know if you are late and give you a 30-day grace period. But that's not true, because he sells those right away, because that's money in his pocket. And when it happened in Atlanta, I was told that they don't have to remind you, that there's some kind of a law that says that you get your bill every year, and that it is up to you to follow up to pay for it. And he gets carte blanche for doing this, and that's the reason so many people is really afraid, because I'm afraid for them.
I'm also afraid for our seniors, to the fact of some of them who's over the age of 70, they don't have to pay property taxes. And for them to get a bill in the mail, they're not going to look at that because they're not familiar. I don't have to pay. It must be some zero bill. They're just sending me some type of statement, not actually knowing this is your bill for your trash. And that's going to be a tragedy because half of them are not knowledgeable of what to do when they open up that piece of paper. So it's going to be a sad day in the city of South Fulton.
Now, Ms. Jewell, one of the things that is very important, I encourage everyone to go do a Google search and do Fulton and look up Fulton County solid waste Q&A. And then when you get to that question and answer page for Fulton County, scroll all the way to the bottom, and you will read a question. And that one question says, can my property be foreclosed on for not paying solid waste? And according to Fulton County, the answer is yes.
You are 100% right. And we're going to come back after we take our break and continue with the dialogue, because this is very, very important to us. And we just want everyone to know that these are the things that a lot of us have experienced in our cities, and we know that the same thing goes on in other cities all across the United States. And that's the reason why we are a organization for ordinary people. And remember, this is the people's show. So don't you all go anywhere. We'll be right back to continue the dialogue. Welcome to Talk Back Georgia, The Jewel, your host. We're going to dive right back into our dialogue, and one of the things that I really want you all to dialogue, especially you, Ms. Clark, I'd like for you to tell us some of the things that happened at the last council meeting.
Oh, Ms. Jewell, that last council meeting was, every meeting has been something to behold. Just thinking about when the mayor made us ask the city council and talking with our city manager about how many open record cases that we have here in the city of South Fulton, and there's over 400, because there was a young lady there that wanted her van back that was confiscated. But to this day, nobody knows where it is. But at this last council meeting, they are all, it was very disturbing, unprofessional, and very, very much so that our council people need to read. They don't read. And Rashad, the budget.
So on that, so I was paying attention to the consent agenda. So on that consent agenda, I saw they were just buying a whole, this is an exaggeration, they're buying a whole dealership worth of vehicles. It was probably over $7 million in spending on vehicles on that consent agenda. Now, if the city needs it, I'm okay with that. I'm fine with it. But at least have the discussion and explain to the residents, why does the police need a mobile command center? A lot of people don't know what that is. So it would be a good idea to explain to the residents what this is and why you need this. You know, last night I went to the city of Mableton's second council meeting, and I noticed that their city attorney, she did a really good job of explaining what the ordinances were and what the resolutions were and why this was necessary and what her recommendation. And we don't get that from our attorney. He just sits silent until someone calls on him, and then he halfway answers the question and hopefully gets it right.
And so, exactly what you said. Hopefully gets it right, but half of the time he don't know, and that's sad for our city attorney not to know the proper answer of what's being asked of him. And not only that, when someone be like, "Oh, city attorney, what do you feel?" He don't never have an objective about nothing.
So, what were your thoughts when you heard the mayor say that he was going to veto a particular legislation, and then there was a promise made from the city council: we are going to veto we are going to overturn it like we've overturned every single one of them. What were you thinking about when they said that to him?
When this particular councilwoman stated that, to me, it was very shameful. But the rest of the people up there just to sit there and say nothing. But let me take that back. One of them did try to contravene and say, "Calm down. Well, you need to stop." But she overruled that, and she kept talking. And that's professionalism. Where is it?
When I'm watching those council meetings, I often wonder, is the person you were just speaking about, we were just speaking about, is she a council person or is she the defense attorney for the police chief? Because it just seems like
It's all of it.
It really seems like a really uncomfortable situation between them two. And to me, that's a public safety concern, that we have a council member that will defend the police chief no matter what he does. You remember when Donald Trump said he could stand in Fifth Avenue and do what he said he was going to do? I don't want to repeat it, but if the police chief did that, she would defend him
To the end of time.
right.
The police department can do no wrong, which clearly they has with the report that came back from the Cobb Police Department.
Yeah,
Smyrna.
Smyrna.
The Smyrna.
Yeah.
That report.
Yeah.
What happened with all that? You have ex-employees have stated they've been bullied.
Wait. I thought that never happened.
They say it never happened, but
Yeah.
it has
You remember
happened.
they were calling the person who exposed the liar and
Yes.
stuff. So I thought it never happened. Did it actually end up happening?
It did, because all of them took lie detector tests,
Oh wow. Okay.
and that was in the report.
Yeah, I remember reading it.
Just like when there was this press conference over money that was missing. We've never heard another word about it.
Well, actually, I did a Freedom of Information Act with HUD about that, and it was stated that these two council people were invited to the meeting with HUD. They called HUD and asked to be invited. It's all in the email. So
Wow.
HUD sent me a copy of the email.
You want to buy vehicles, but you don't have no building to park these vehicles in front of.
Right. Where's our courthouse?
We don't have one.
Where's our police precinct?
In Atlanta.
Oh. But we're so focused on sanitation. We're so focused on things that don't really matter for the time being. So
Right.
yeah.
So where do we go?
I don't know.
What
Ms.
do the
Jewel, where do
people-
we go from here?
That's a very interesting question. I think the most important thing is to continue dialogue in the way we are doing now with other people within the city, because it's quite obvious that with all these things happening, there's a lot of confusion with our citizens. I think it's important that we continue to try and get them to understand what's happening to them. And one of the things that we really do need to take a look at, remember when two of the council people started accusing the city manager of stealing money?
Yes.
And that was ridiculous.
But Ms. Jewell, I'm sorry, I have to interrupt you. They also accused the finance director of buying a vehicle with city funds with no approvals. How does that happen?
That's another question. And these are a lot of things that we're going to have to continue dialoguing about, and we may have to even come together as citizens and ask for a review from a higher authority.
Actually, what we usually, back in the day when the previous mayor get financial reports, a budget, breaking everything down. Now it's shown on a screen during a meeting and it's handed out in paper, but it's not pointing out everything. And where is that big thing they bought for the police department that cost
Bobcat?
The Bobcat that
No.
cost millions of dollars.
The Bearcat.
Oh,
Bearcat,
Bearcat,
Bobcat. It's some cat that we're not using.
Have you seen it on the street?
No,
Have you, Ms. Jewell?
no.
I haven't seen it either.
it's in storage. Where is
A
it?
lot of good that's doing us here.
Over millions of dollars wasted.
Yeah. Maybe it's in the same storage facility as that van is in.
We're getting very low on time. We're going to take a little break, but we're going to come back, audience, and we're going to continue dialoguing because there's a lot of things that we need to share as we move on. And remember, we will be back because we are the People Show. Talkback Georgia is winding down right now. We're coming to the end of our show, and I want to thank Mr. Snelling for being here with us. And I want to thank Ms. Shawana Clark for being here with us. Do either one of you all have anything that you urgent that you would want to say before we close out?
Yeah, I do. Ms. Clark, I just wanted to thank you for coming. I really enjoyed this conversation, engaging and dialoguing with you. And as you know, City of South Fulton, we have elections this year. We're in an election year, and my council representative seat is up. Thank goodness. And yours is up as well. So, do you plan on voting?
I vote every year. I exercise that. And let me say thank you, Ms. Jewell, for having me, and I would love to come back.
I was about to ask you all, would you come back?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much. I enjoyed having you here. It's been wonderful, and I know the audience have truly enjoyed listening to you because I have. Just remember, this is the People Show, Talkback Georgia. Thank you very much. Welcome back to Talkback Georgia, The Jewel, your host. I just want to thank you for being with us. It has been exciting, and I feel that it's going to continue being exciting because our guest has agreed to come back. So we're going to be doing part 2, and I want each and every one of you to stay tuned for part 2 and come back because this is the People Show where you can come on and talk about anything you want. Go to the website and send us a little information about what you think and what you'd like to have. Thank you so much. Look to see you soon.